I have income from basketball, but I know that, you need multiple streams of income. And when I was able to figure out how I can make money on social media, I dived headfirst into it and, was able to start getting brand deals off Instagram and TikTok and really grow my platform. And I've experienced so much success doing that.
How did you come about? Did you reach out to the brands? Did the brands reach out to you? What was that like?
So I remember my first brand deal. It was like 8 years ago. They reached out to me.
You've been doing it that long?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they reached out to me on Instagram.
You've played basketball your entire life, for the most part. And we'll get to that story on how you started and everything. But I really wanted to have this conversation because someone that plays pro basketball, for what, 10 years now?
Yes. Yeah,
right?
okay. Yeah, you're doing your research.
Two-time Olympian. So, yeah, how are you able to, go from, you were drafted by the Mercury.
Yes.
But something shifted, and you decided to play overseas instead. Let's go through that. Let's go through the business of basketball. To be a pro player for 10 years at your age, without messing up your life.
Yeah.
Let me say it like that. And continue to do it professionally. How have you been able to do that?
Yeah, I think what allowed me to have sustained success has been just taking care of my body. Like you said, I've been in the game for 10 years, and a lot of people don't last this long, especially overseas. It's a grind going overseas. But yeah, I just been taking care of my body. I have a lot of support, and so my family is always pushing me and, go another season and stuff like that. So that's been great. And then I love the game, so that makes it easy to do it as well. The relationships I build overseas, they're long-lasting, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity I get to have to, play a game that I love and get paid for it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. Now, let's go back to a little bit to you were drafted by the Mercuries.
Yeah.
I don't know that story yet. If you want to tell that story, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a painful one or what happened. I don't know. But share the story. What happened?
Yeah. So I was drafted my senior year. I played 4 years at Arizona State. Was drafted to the Phoenix Mercury. I didn't even plan on playing professional. I thought I was gonna move back to my parents' house, and I don't know. I just never had the vision of playing professional. But when I got drafted, I don't know if you know, but the roster spots in the W is very limited, and so they're only allowed 11 or 12 players on each team, and there's only 12 teams.
Gotcha.
And every year, 36 girls are getting drafted. And there's still people in the W that are not retiring. They're still on teams. And so the chances of making a team is very slim. And so I was cut the last day of training camp. I played 2 exhibition games and then was cut. But it was a great experience. Of course, I wish I would have made it. I felt like I was good enough.
Yeah.
But, God has different plan for me. And so I took my talents overseas, and it's been great for me. I was able to be on 2 Olympic teams with Nigeria. And so I can't complain.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you may not have been able to do that if you were in the Mercuries. You never know.
Yeah,
right?
you never. Yeah, exactly.
But how do that mindset, right, of getting cut from WNBA team. This is almost every girl's dream that plays basketball, to play in the NBA in some kind of way.
Right.
You get cut, but you still you kept on pushing on, because I don't know why, but you kept on pushing on until you made it pro overseas. Let's talk about that a little bit. Why? What's your reason behind continuing to move forward in that kind of way?
I think my ultimate decision to continue to play basketball overseas was just to get back into the W, right?
Gotcha.
I thought I was good enough to play, and so my agent, and then also the GMs on the Mercury said, get more experience overseas, and then we usually bring people that we cut back, and so I was like, okay, cool. I used that as motivation and took my talents overseas, and I think it was just I wanted to prove, the Nigerian in me, I'm very resilient, and I think that's just how we are built. And so I just wanted to prove to myself, I guess, to them that, I'm able to play in this league. But I still haven't got my second chance, but I'm so happy that I'm able to play against these girls that play in the league overseas. Or I was able to play against the USA team.
Yeah.
So many times I was able to play. And so I think that's all I've ever wanted, just to see where I matched up against, the best of the best. And so when I was able to do that, and I proved to myself that, hey, I am able to stand my own ground and, compete with these girls. And so I've been content not being in the league because I found great success in other places.
Yeah, WNBA is not like a lucrative sport. There's always been, the NBA and just the separation, the gap in wages, I should say, from the NBA compared to the WNBA. And then you're playing overseas. I've heard it's a little different sometimes overseas. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you've been able to sustain yourself.
Yes.
You've been able to live a pretty decent life. For someone that is in the NBA, is playing professionally, how have you set up yourself? Are you running as a business or are you running as just yourself? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I see myself as a business, right? So I have income from basketball, but I know that, you need multiple streams of income. And I know that I'm just not a basketball player. I like to do other stuff. So creating content, being in front of the camera, I love doing that. And so when I was able to figure out how I can make money on social media, I dived head first into it, and was able to start getting brand deals off Instagram and TikTok and really grow my platform. And I've experienced so much success doing that.
How did you come about? Did you reach out to the brands? Did the brands reach out to you? What was that like?
So I remember my first brand deal. It was 8 years ago. They reached out to me.
You've been doing it that long?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they reached out to me on Instagram. I think once I was verified, I only had 3,000 followers, but they reached out to They reached out to me on Instagram. It was a skincare company. I was super excited. I did it and was paid, and I was like, wow, people are really getting paid off Instagram.
Yeah.
With collaborating with different companies. And so that's what I did. And then my platform just started to grow. Being a professional athlete, it helps. So competing in huge tournaments with Team Nigeria, I get a lot of followers from that. And so the larger my platform has grown, the more opportunities I have been able to receive these brand deals. But I also do some outreach and really pitch myself to work with brands that I love and actually use on a daily basis.
Right.
Yeah,
that's cool. And the theme I continue to hear is this: you have this gift of basketball, and you've been able to leverage it in multiple ways. To be able to sustain yourself in different ways. Because there's a lot of people that just, if basketball is not working, they just keep knocking their head on that wall, right? Until they're going to make it eventually. But there's other ways to go about it, and you're proof of that. Now, still sticking on the brand deals, social media, and all that kinds of stuff. Was it a thought, let me really do this? Or it just naturally happened because of what you were doing? You were already doing stuff and just posting it? Or were you I'm going to be strategic and do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, so I think initially it started as organically. like I said, I got my first brand deal. And then after that, I just love posting. I love posting pictures. And so when I was posting pictures, those gain a lot of attraction. But ultimately, once I started, I have other friends that are in this industry as well. So like picking their brains and going on TikTok, seeing how you could strategically, get these brand deals and strategically pour out content so that it drives different companies to look to be seen on social media.
Yeah.
I started to do that. I realized that the more content you post and how consistently you do it, you're more likely to get these brand deals.
Yeah. Well, what are some other brands that you've worked with when it comes to like?
Fitness brands, a lot of beauty stuff. What else? I don't have a specific niche, but I really love skincare, beauty, makeup, and then obviously fitness, health stuff because I'm an athlete.
Right.
So I think those are what are organically what I stand for and what I can embody and show like organically. Yeah. And so I try to stick to deals that revolve around those stuff. Yeah.
That's cool. This video is sponsored to you by Creative Collection. Creative Collection is a video production company here in Phoenix, Arizona that helps entrepreneurs and businesses brand themselves with video. Over the last decade, we've been able to serve the people of Phoenix, Arizona with our video production company, helping with brand videos, YouTube content, social media content, docuseries, testimonials, and more. But now we're building the online part to be able to reach more people that are not just in Phoenix, Arizona, to be able to help entrepreneurs like yourself brand yourself with video. If you're ready to take that next step, click the link in the description and we'll be able to help you brand yourself with video.
Which other one that he asked? I'm still small fish, but I have the A6400. Okay. But I want and so I like the bokeh, like when it's close, the bokeh really, but like when I'm far, it doesn't get that. So I need a different lens. Or what do you think?
What lens are you using?
The Sigma 16.
That's why.
Cause I actually have to film a campaign, a brand collab today.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
cool. So
you can take the lens off.
We're gonna dissect this a little bit today.
Yeah, I'm gonna expert.
This is a live.
You guys can move all you want. Just
try to put that's rolling. Okay. So this is live 101. We're going through your camera right now. So what do you feel like you need to understand more about your camera?
So I don't know like the difference of like 60 or 24. Like I don't. Yeah. I try to Google it, but I still don't understand.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll break it down to the easiest form. So 4K 60. Yeah. It gives you the ability to slow it down.
Okay.
That's the biggest difference.
Okay.
It's less motion blur.
Okay.
So it gives you the ability to slow it down. Now, 24 frames. So 4K is the resolution.
Yeah, okay.
Right? 60 is the frames per second.
Okay.
So it's picking up 60 frames a second. So that's a lot of frames in 1 second. Versus 24 frames a second, that's almost half of it, less than half of it actually. So it allows you to see a little bit more blur, in your hands. And when you're watching movies and stuff, it's usually in 24 frames. That's why, and that's what's the most natural to our eyes as well. Okay. That's the biggest thing. So when you shoot 4K 60, you're able to bring it into your software. Okay. And then you're able to put it into a 24 frames a second sequence, and then you're able to slow down by up to 40%. Okay. So math come into place. Yeah. Imagine going to school and saying I don't need maths anymore. All right. So you're talking about the bokeh. So you have a 60 millimeter lens, Sigma, which is a nice lens. It's a 1.4 aperture, and so aperture. So if it's a 1.4, it allows more light to come in, but it also gives you more of a blurry background. Okay. But now I'll put my hand in there. it blurs out a lot of it because I'm closer to it because
yeah.
it's a 16 and it's a wide lens already.
Okay.
When you're close on this, you have more of a blurry background. But
Yeah.
when you scoot back, it doesn't give it that blurry of a background. It's because of how wide the lens is.
Okay.
It's a 16, so the wider the lens, the less of a bokeh you see.
Okay.
Now, if I was to give you a 16 versus a 200 millimeter, if I go to 200, it compresses the background, and then it almost feels like the background is closer, and then it just blurs the crap out of it. Yeah, so it's really, really blurry.
And which one's that? The
200. So, Matt, it's that gray one right there.
Oh, okay.
So
and
it's,
that's for like, do you think that's for like sports? And stuff?
Yeah, you could use it for
They do a lot
sports,
of-
especially when you're on the sidelines.
Okay, yeah.
It's a 70 to 200. So you go up to from 70 and then up to 200.
Okay.
But when you really, really bring it into 200, it really blurs the background a lot, actually. So
Okay.
now, but since you have this camera and you're shooting a campaign, is this something you could talk about? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the type of shots you're trying to get?
The vertical.
Vertical?
Yeah.
And the campaign, what is it about?
It's how as an athlete, comes breakouts and stuff, and
Gotcha.
so when breakouts occur, how do I manage those? And so I'll use those pimple patches because they're seamless, they're
Yeah.
invisible, and you go do your everyday workouts
Gotcha.
and day-to-day
able to-
life with it. And so,
Cool.
yeah.
I feel like you need at least a 50
A
millimeter
50?
lens.
A
lens.
50.
Yeah. So you can use both, right?
Okay.
Where you start with the wide lens as the establishing of you starting to, talk about it. And then the 50 really gets you tight, especially if you're talking about the people.
Yeah,
journey.
so I
You're
want
coming
different
closer
shots. Yeah.
And see that.
Yeah.
So it would definitely help with that. But I think you can still accomplish it with this. Do you have lights?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of lights? Yeah.
I mean, I have like, I don't even know what type of lights. It's like, I don't even know.
Yeah. So
They're white
lights will be.
They're white lights though.
Yeah, it will be your biggest thing you could do for yourself. Like if you have really good lights and not really good equipment, you could still accomplish the shot. Lights are like the main thing.
Okay.
When it comes to like shooting, especially beauty stuff.
Okay.
Because it just helps you accentuate your face properly.
Okay.
I'll send you links to some lights and soft boxes that you could get. That would really, really work out for you. But I think,
Oh, sorry. But what? So what should I be shooting on? 4K? What? What do you think?
I would say,
this?
where is it primarily going? Social?
Yeah. So Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah. Some people would say shoot at 30 frames, but I like 24 frames.
And how do you know how to get to that setting?
So on the menu, this is like the old Sony system, which I know. So you go here, recording settings.
Okay.
It's already on 24 frames. Okay. I'll go back to one more thing. So this is the file format. You're on 4K, and that's the one to be on. Now, when you go back here, this number right here, that's called your shutter speed.
Okay.
And because you're shooting on 24 frames, you want it to be at, you have this different, there we go, at 1/50.
Okay. Why?
Because your shutter speed should be double the frame rate.
Shutter speed should be double the frame rate.
So
Okay.
you're shooting on 24 frames, but
Yeah.
because it doesn't have 48, technically it should be 48 because 24 times 2 is 48.
Okay.
But you go up to the next one higher than 48, which is 50.
Okay.
So if you're shooting at 60 frames
Mm-hmm.
because you want to slow it down at some point, then your shutter speed will be 1/120 or
Okay.
1/125. So it's just double the frame rate.
Okay.
And the reason is because it gives it the best motion.
Okay.
If you go lower, it's gonna be choppy.
Okay.
If you go way too high, it's gonna look like it's not real.
Okay.
Like there's no motion blur at all.
okay.
It's just gonna look like it's some kind of AI system that drew it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then your ISO, I think the base ISO on this is 640, which is what you have it set, but you can still go down. With this, it's so bright with this light.
Yeah.
I think you go up to, you could go to 100 on there. I think that would be really good to start off with,
Okay.
and then you could shoot with that. Like obviously it's darker there because there's
Yeah.
no lights there. But
Okay.
is this helpful?
Yeah, for sure.
makes
Thank
sense.
you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna start texting you.
Of course, yeah. And then if like there's a next lens, I think you should buy probably two. The one would be the 50, and then maybe the 35. But I think you could still do a lot.
50 and 35.
Yeah, you can still do a lot with this. Yeah.
Thank
It's a cool
you.
camera. Like actually, I'll still use this. This is a
Beginner.
nah,
I'm not
it's,
advanced yet.
it's a cool camera. It gives you the quality you need.
Cool.
So
Thank you.
yeah, no, thank you. Now let's talk about being an Olympian, two-time Nigerian Olympian, and I know we did a video. Was 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
Was it 3 or 4? 3 years, maybe.
Years. Yeah. I'm Promise Mukamara. My love for basketball started when I was like in 5th grade when I saw my brother and my sisters playing, and I just wanted to follow their footsteps. When agents were reaching out to my college coach, that's when I knew that I was going to be able to, make this a career. To make the Nigerian national team, I was super excited, super proud to wear the green and white and represent my father and mother's country. It was an honor. Played in the Olympics. We won 2 back-to-back Afro championships. I'm very competitive. One of my specialties is playing defense, so I take pride in stopping my opponent. I'm obviously thinking about winning. I'm thinking about, representing the name on the back of my jersey. I'm also playing for the audience of one, which is God. I obviously have my plans. Ultimately, is God that makes the decision. And so whatever God takes me and wherever his path for me is, that's where I'm following.
Now, I think at that time you had only played once. Now you did it last year as well, correct?
Yes.
So how that experience, just getting from, again, the backstory of ASU, Mercury, moving to professional, and now playing with Team Nigeria. What was that feeling like?
It's always an honor playing for Team Nigeria. I love representing my parents' origin. And so wearing green and white, it comes with such pride. And I love being around my teammates. They're like family. It feels like a sisterhood, you know? And so, that process of, going from college to professional and then also playing with Team Nigeria has just been a blessing. And I'm always, every time there's a tournament, I'm always excited to play with them because it's just so much fun and it feels like home.
Now, blending the two, because this is what I think. That's why I named my company Creative Collection. Is that we have a series of gifts that God has given us, and sometimes we get to use one over the other, but as a way to strategically bring all of them together, which you've done actually. I don't know if you've really thought about it in that way, but you have, in a sense of taking this basketball and putting it online. I think we're in the age of social media and putting stuff online and using that as a marketing tool for other people to reach out to you. And then from there, really building who Promise Amukamara is, the brand of you, which I believe you're just getting started. I don't think you've scratched the surface, to be honest. I think there's so much more within you for you to pull out and to bring out. So if there is someone, a little girl, a teenage girl, someone in college, whatever it is, what are you telling them now? They're like wanting to pursue their dreams in basketball. What would be some of the things that you would tell them?
I would say if it's your goal to, get a scholarship to play college and then potentially go overseas or play in the W, just never give up on your dreams, right? The sky is the limit, and consistency, doing something consistently every time, you're going to see the results and you're going to bear the fruit of your labor. So just keep working hard and never give up on your dreams. As cliche as it sounds, that's what I did. And yeah.
How many times would you say you practice?
Oh, yeah. Sacrifice is huge. So I practice every day.
Yeah.
Usually I practice Monday through Friday. Saturday would be games or tournaments when I was younger. So Monday through Friday, I was always active, whether it was running track or playing basketball. Always active Monday through Friday. Saturday would be my games, like when I was on a AAU team, and so we would have tournaments on Saturdays. And then Sunday would be rest day, and then I would do it all again then the next week.
Yeah. You talked about sacrifice. What do you feel like you've had to sacrifice to really get to this place of success that you are in?
Yeah, so I think I sacrificed my time playing with friends, missing out on birthdays, events, huge events in people's lives, right? I missed out on all of those. I missed out on my sister's wedding,
wow.
family trips, so many things I missed out on because of basketball. And yeah, I go back and forth. I would say like, dang, I wish I would have was able to be there, but it doesn't compare to the success I have experienced now. But yeah, one thing I do regret was I had a game in college. My brother was playing in the Super Bowl. The whole family flew out except for me because I had a game the next day. And I was bummed about that because they still brag about that to this day.
I've seen all the pictures.
Oh my God.
And you're not there.
I know. It's so sad.
So that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's one thing I'm like, gosh, I wish I was there. Yeah. But other than that, it's been great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. It's good. Now, you've done this for 10 years. You know, what does the next 10 years look like for you?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. The next 10 years, God has his own plans and we have ours. But for the next 10 years, I would see myself doing more content, whether it is working with in a business or on my own. I see myself doing that. I see myself with kids, married.
That's cool. So you said more content in the sense of I see this content wise. Have you seen what's his name? Ashton Hall. Don't do the ice bucket thing, the face in the ice or whatever. But the idea of a day in a life, style content, but not just showing the highlights of what happened, like really going in depth of, okay, I'm getting up, doing my thing, but showing the basketball side of it a little bit more from like a storytelling perspective of how much, you have to run, how much what are you eating, stuff like that. Yeah. I think a lot of people will catch on to what you're doing. Yeah,
that's interesting that you say that. My sister is a social media manager for a company, and she tells me all the time, like, hey, Promise, you need to put out content of a day in the life of your life. Like, people will be, eager to see that. Yeah. And so I'm like, gosh, like, it's a lot of work. Some stuff I don't want to show, but like, she was like, the people would want to see that. And so I've been thinking about doing that. And so it's just a matter of pushing the button and actually going for it. But
I think you should do it. I think being in front of the camera is usually awkward in the beginning. Yeah. Especially doing that. And obviously you don't have to show people what you don't want to show them.
Right.
You show them what you want to show them. You're still in control of your story and what you put out. But I think it could be really big in that sense. Like, imagine all these girls in high school, college, middle school. They're actually middle school. That's crazy that they have access to the internet.
I know, right?
And being able to watch someone, I don't think I've seen anything like that on the internet. Yeah. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm not in that world like that. Yeah. But I feel like you could really do something with that, especially with the audience that you have and what you've been able to do, with basketball and having all those experiences, going overseas, traveling the world, right. And being able to tell that story. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think about that.
Yeah. What has been one of, like, if you could share a story, like in the Olympics or whatever, what has been a defining factor? Like either like there was a game or you just didn't feel up to it, but you eventually showed up, or whatever story you want to share, something that has defined your career moving forward.
This recent Olympics, no one knew it, but I was playing with a small meniscus tear, and 50% of my cartilage was deteriorated. And I just persevered through the whole tournament, the whole training camp. And I think that just defined my career in a whole, right? Getting cut, having to persevere through that. Then just constantly, I'm always having to persevere. And so I think that was a huge defining moment. And not only was I hurt during that whole time at the Olympics, I was able to experience success. And so I think that was a huge defining moment in my career.
Awesome. And what did that do for you internally? Because obviously, no one knew about it. Like I said, I was watching some of that. I wouldn't have been able to know. But what did that tell you about yourself?
That the mind is a powerful thing, and that whatever you tell your mind, your body will follow. And so I just told my body, like, I'm good, I'm healthy, it doesn't hurt, you have one more day, And so, I think that's what it showed me.
For sure.
Yeah.
So basketball, brand deals. You talked a little bit about maybe it might be business, I don't know if you want to share, but in your, as you're going through life and you're thinking about all that, like, what would that look like?
Business?
Yeah. Is it like owning a business, or is it like, what are you thinking in that realm?
I never really imagined myself owning a business, but then again, I never imagined myself being a professional athlete. So I don't know. I know I like working. I know I love working on my own and like completing deals on my own and stuff, and or helping my family with their businesses. I like doing that. So I don't know. I don't know. If it was I feel like I can do it, but I would love to be a full-time content creator. I would love to do that. I don't know. Like I said, I love the camera.
Yeah. I
love creating content, and so
we should do another video.
Yeah.
After the basketball one, we should do another one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I've always had this idea of doing one with track. But you're a track athlete.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
What'd you run?
100, 200, 4x1, 4x4.
Nice. So, I have an idea with like a story on that as well. That could be cool.
Okay.
But yeah, we could talk about that later. So business. We talk about business. You talked about you running yourself as a business. Did you sign up an entity as a business, or are you just running as a sole proprietor? What are you doing?
Yeah, I am running it as a sole proprietor.
Okay.
But I need to send up as an entity.
Gotcha.
My brother has told me that multiple times, so I need to do that.
That's cool that you have a brother, that's been in the sports world all his life.
And now he's transitioning to the content stuff.
Yeah,
so
that.
I'm helping him, he's helping me. So
That's
it's
cool.
great. Yeah.
That's cool. That's what's Mr. A?
Yeah,
right?
Mr. A Adventures.
That's cool. And I think that's great because a lot of people, especially in basketball, when it comes to you get this big check and then tax season comes and it's like, So just setting up in that way, it helps a lot with different things with taxes and
exactly.
stuff like that, But you also mentioned being a full-time content creator.
Yeah.
What's stopping you from doing that now?
I think I'm stopping myself.
Okay.
I think it's just caring too much of what people would think or say. I know as far as I am in my career, I still think about that stuff. It's crazy, but yeah, it's just just, worrying about what people are saying and stuff. But, who cares?
Right.
Who cares? Like, if you're going to get paid for it, like, they can hate or say whatever they want, you know? So, but I have all the time right now. Like, I should be, creating content, doing all this stuff.
Should do it.
Yeah.
Should do it. Because content changes my life. It has changed my life.
Yeah.
I grew up shy, quiet, and I decided to do a podcast eventually. So who am I to do a podcast and talking to people? And I think it's cool because then you get to, I guess, share who I am, but also bring people like yourself on the podcast and just share a little bit of your story. And I think that's what it's been, more than just highlighting people that are in different parts of life. It's bringing people around me, to help showcase what it is that they're doing as well.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. I think you should do it.
Thank you. I will.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And if there was final words of something that we haven't touched on so far today, that you want to cover, you want to say, this is the last thing I leave for you, what would that be?
God is great and God is good.
Mic drop.
Let's see. Never give up on your dreams. Like I said before, like the sky is the limit. Like whatever you put your mind to, like you could do it. And I need to take this advice as myself. Like if I want to be a full-time content creator, I could do that.
Yeah.
And so, whatever it is, do it. Don't let anyone stop you from creating the life that you want to have, and be consistent and
do it. I think that's true, because sometimes we're waiting on people to build the bridge for us.
Yeah.
Why not just go build the bridge for yourself and bring other people with you?
Exactly.
And I think sometimes I don't know if it's like just the American system or, the way people just think. It's like you need to go to college, get a job, and then retire at 65, and then you're old and crummy and you don't know.
Right.
You can't enjoy your life at that
Exactly.
stage, So it's building what you want now, bringing people along with you, and getting to enjoy life as you go.
Yeah.
And that's I feel like that's what God put us in here to do, is to live out our passions and the creative abilities that He has given us, and use that to build a sustainable life, for you, your kids, your future, and everything like that. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, two-time Olympian.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is a great setup.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you for coming on, and hopefully we were able to touch on pieces that you haven't been able to talk about.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure. No, because a lot of people are just asking me about my journey and like just basketball stuff, and obviously my upbringing and my family. But like you touched on the business side, which I'm also very much happy to talk about and excited to talk about. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because content, I'm not just a basketball player.
Right.
I love content. And
I think I think that's just people's way of trying to explain who you are, is like they put you in these buckets. Basketball, that's who you are. It's like, no, I do basketball, but I do content, and I do X, Y, and Z. I'm sure there's other things that you do that we haven't talked about here, and that's just how people are. We're not just one niche and just stay in that niche.
Exactly.
There's multiple things that you can do, and I think as people we should explore more of that, because that's what makes the journey beautiful. We are, in the world of niching down, we're at first generalists. We do as many things as we can, and then find that way to bring all those things together to be more specific. And then when you become more specific and get to the next level, then you generalize again.
Right.
And then it just becomes a cycle.
Exactly.
But,
smart man.
But thank you for coming on. Appreciate you.
No problem.
Like I say, you're born to create something, so go create.